She found out her husband had renamed their newborn daughter behind her back to match the name of his mistress. When she finally saw her baby's birth certificate, something felt wrong. The name printed wasn't the one she and her husband had agreed on. They had chosen Eliana, a name that meant a lot to her, one that honored her grandmother. But on the paper, it said Ariel. She stared at it, confused. Maybe she had missed something while she was tired and recovering after the birth. Still sore and exhausted, she tried to convince herself it was a mistake. But something inside her said otherwise. She asked her husband about it. He acted surprised, calm, and told her she must be mistaken. He blamed it on postpartum stress, saying she was overwhelmed and probably forgot. He said maybe she had signed the paper without realizing. His words made her doubt herself, but deep down, she knew she hadn't forgotten anything. She remembered what they had decided together. That night, while he was asleep, she checked his phone. She never imagined doing something like that, but she couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something. What she found shattered her completely. There were messages from another woman. Her name was Ariel, the same as the name on their daughter's birth certificate. She kept scrolling, her hands shaking. He had been talking to this woman for months. He told her he loved her. He sent her pictures of their baby. Then she saw a message that felt like a punch to the stomach. Now we'll both have little Ariels to love. Everything made sense in that moment. The late nights at work, the coldness during her pregnancy, the constant phone secrecy. He had betrayed her in the worst way possible. While she was giving birth to their daughter, he was thinking about someone else, and he named their baby after that woman. She sat in silence, her whole body frozen. She couldn't cry, couldn't scream, couldn't even move. Her heart was breaking, but something else started to grow, anger. A quiet, burning anger. She didn't know what she was going to do yet, but she knew she couldn't let this go. In the morning, she looked at her daughter. The baby stared up with innocent eyes, peaceful and unaware. She held her close, kissed her forehead, and made a silent promise. She would fix this. She would take back what was stolen. She didn't know how yet, but she would find a way. Her husband thought he had control. He thought she would never find out. But he was wrong. She started to remember all the signs she ignored. For months before the baby was born, her husband had been acting strange. He stayed late at work often and never gave a clear reason why. When he came home, he was always tired or distracted. He used to be warm and caring, but during her pregnancy, he became cold and distant. When she tried to talk to him, he said he was stressed or tired. He stopped touching her belly or asking how she felt. At the time, she told herself it was normal. Work stress, nerves about becoming a father. She wanted to believe it would pass. His phone was always with him. Even in the bathroom or at night, he kept it close. He turned off notifications and would never leave it lying around. Once she asked him who he was texting so late, and he brushed it off, saying it was work. She let it go. She didn't want to seem jealous or paranoid. She thought maybe she was just overthinking things. She thought back to when they first talked about baby names. It was a special moment. They sat on the couch one evening, smiling, dreaming about the future. She told him she wanted to name their daughter Eliana, after her grandmother. He smiled and said he loved the name. He even said it sounded elegant and meaningful. She felt happy and supported. That name stayed with her throughout the pregnancy. She called her baby Eliana while rubbing her belly. She imagined introducing her to the family. She imagined whispering that name during bedtime. It felt perfect. Now everything felt fake. She decided to talk to him again, this time calmly. She asked him if he had changed the name on purpose. He looked nervous but kept his voice steady. He said no. He told her again that she must have signed it and forgot. He said it was probably the hospital's mistake. But she watched his eyes. Something was off. He wasn't just lying. He looked guilty. She stayed quiet for a moment. Then she asked again, more firmly. This time, he sighed and looked away. Finally, he admitted it. He said he changed it at the last second, while she was resting. He said the name. Ariel just felt right. Like it suddenly came to him. Like it was meant to be. He didn't say anything about the other woman. He didn't explain why he had the right to make that decision alone. He didn't say sorry. Her heart broke all over again. He took something important from her and acted like it didn't matter. He knew how much the name Eliana meant to her. He knew it was connected to her family. But he still changed it without asking, and then he lied to her face. She sat alone later that night and started looking up birth certificate law. She wanted to know how the naming process worked, who had the right to make changes, and how to fix it. She found out that both parents usually need to agree on the name, and the mother's signature is required. She realized that if her signature was on that form, it might have been faked. She wasn't sure yet, but she was going to find out. She didn't know what she would do next, but something inside her had changed. The pain was still there, but now there was a spark of something else, determination. She wasn't going to let this go. She went alone to the local birth records office. She didn't tell anyone she was going. She just said she had errands. Her hands were cold as she waited in line. Her heart was beating fast, but her face stayed calm. When it was her turn, she asked for a copy of her baby's birth certificate and the original form that had been filled out at the hospital. The woman behind the counter gave her the papers after checking her ID. She walked out and sat on a bench outside. Slowly, she opened the folder and looked at the documents. Her eyes stopped on the name, Ariel. Her stomach turned. But what shocked her more was the signature. Her name was there, written in a way that looked almost like hers. But it wasn't. The handwriting was close, but she could tell it wasn't hers. She never signed this. She stared at it for a long time. Her hands began to shake. He had not only changed the name without telling her, he had signed her name. He had faked it. He had lied to the hospital, to the government, to her. She felt sick, but she also felt more sure than ever. This wasn't just betrayal. It was something she could prove. Something legal. She went back inside and asked to speak to someone about corrections. A kind woman took her into a small office and explained the process. She asked how someone could change a baby's name after birth. The woman said both parents had to agree and sign the form. She nodded quietly. Then she asked what to do if someone believed a signature had been faked. The woman said it could be investigated, but she would need to file a report and show proof. She also asked how to change the father's name on the certificate. The woman explained that if the mother and father were married at the time of birth, the husband's name is automatically listed. But if they weren't married, the man has to sign something called a paternity affidavit. That form says he accepts he's the father. Without it, his name cannot be added. She asked if a name could be removed later. The woman said yes, but only if there's proof the man isn't the real father. Usually, that means a DNA test. She sat quietly thinking. She asked a few more questions and thanked the woman for her time. Then she walked outside and sat in her car. She looked at the papers again. Her eyes kept going back to her fake signature. He really thought she wouldn't notice. He really believed he could do this without her finding out. As she sat there, a new idea slowly formed in her mind. Her husband might not be the real father. There had always been a little doubt about the timing, but she pushed it away before. Now she thought, what if? What if a DNA test showed he wasn't? If that were true, he wouldn't just be a bad husband. He wouldn't be the legal father at all. That would change everything. And maybe, just maybe, she could take him off the certificate completely. She sat alone in her room, thinking about everything that had happened. Her thoughts kept going back to one thing, the timing. There was a small chance her husband might not be the baby's real father. It was something she had pushed away during the pregnancy, but now it felt important. The memory came back clearly. Around that time, she had been going through a rough patch with her husband. They had been distant, barely speaking. During that time, she had reconnected with someone from her past, her high school boyfriend. It had been just one evening. They had talked, shared memories, and one thing led to another. She hadn't thought much of it then. When she found out she was pregnant, her husband didn't question anything, and she accepted it without overthinking. But now, after everything, she felt the need to know the truth. Not because she hoped for anything from the past, but because she needed to take back control. She needed answers. She sent a message to her old boyfriend. He still lived in the same city, and they had stayed in touch as casual friends. She told him she needed to talk in private. He agreed to meet her without asking many questions. When they met, she explained the situation, carefully and honestly. He listened, surprised but kind. She asked him if he would take a paternity test, just to be sure. He didn't hesitate. He agreed to it right away. They went together to a clinic where the staff promised full privacy. She used her baby's DNA, taken from a small swab at home. The test would take some time, but she felt better just knowing it was in progress. While she waited for the results, she knew she couldn't stay still. She needed to prepare. At home, she began pulling away from her husband quietly. She stopped asking him questions. She acted calm, even kind. She didn't want to let him know she was planning anything. She watched what he said and did. She started keeping notes. Every lie he told, every excuse, she wrote it down. If he left his phone unlocked, she copied the messages and saved the screenshot. She collected everything and stored it on a hidden drive. She also began writing down her own feeling. Every time she cried, every time he made her feel small, she wrote it out. Not just for herself, but as a record of how she had been treated. She wanted to be ready for anything, even a legal fight. One night, she went out and bought a cheap phone with cash. She didn't want it traced back to her. Using the new phone, she messaged the woman her husband had been seeing. She didn't say who she was. She acted like someone else. At first, the woman didn't reply. But after a few days, she answered. The two of them talked briefly. The mistress shared things that confirmed more of the lies. Times her husband claimed to be at work, he had been with her. Places he said he went alone, he had gone with someone else. The woman didn't seem to know the full truth either. She saved everything. She didn't reply much. She didn't want to drag it out. She only needed proof. The messages, the pictures, the details, everything matched. It was more than enough to show a pattern. She was tired, but her mind was clear. She was no longer lost in sadness. Now she was focused. She had taken the first step. The truth was coming, one piece at a time. Soon she would have answers, real, solid answers. And with them, she would make her next move. The envelope came quietly, just like any other letter. She held it in her hands for a moment, staring at her name on the front. Her heart was beating fast, her fingers slightly shaking. She already knew what it might say, but seeing it written down would make it real. She opened it slowly and pulled out the paper. The results were clear. Her husband was not the father. Her ex, the man she had met again for just one night, was the biological father. She read the words twice, then a third time. It felt like the air had been knocked out of her. For a few minutes, she just sat there, silent. Everything stopped. She thought about the past months. Her mind went back to the day she found out she was pregnant. She remembered how her husband had smiled, how he hugged her, how he said, "It's perfect timing." She believed him. She didn't question anything. She let his words shape her understanding of the dates. She hadn't counted the days for herself. She hadn't done the math. She just trusted him. Now she realized he had told her what he needed her to believe. He had claimed the child as his, and she never looked deeper. Now everything looked different. The night with her ex, the quiet distance in her marriage, the lies, the name change. All of it was part of a bigger picture. Her husband had acted like the father. He had signed papers. He had changed the name. He had told everyone this child was his. But none of it was true. The truth was on the paper in her hand. She felt a wave of anger, but it passed quickly. The anger had been there for a long time. What came next was something sharper and calmer. It was clarity. She finally saw what she needed to do. The baby did not belong to the man who lied, cheated, and stole her trust. The baby did not carry his blood. She did not owe him anything. There was now a path forward. She could fix the birth certificate. The law would support her because the truth was proven. Her husband had no legal right to be listed as the father if he wasn't one. The documents could be changed. The name could be corrected. She had real proof now, strong enough to undo what had been done behind her back. She folded the paper and placed it in a safe place. Then she stood up and walked to her baby's room. She looked at the small, sleeping face, soft and peaceful. This child deserved better. She deserved truth. She deserved a name that came from love, not lies. And now, her mother had the power to give her that. The next steps would take time. There would be forms to file, maybe court visits, maybe hard conversations. But none of it scared her anymore. The truth was hers now. And with it, she could begin to set everything right. She searched for a lawyer quietly. She didn't ask anyone for help or speak about it out loud. She found someone who handled family law and made an appointment. At the office, she sat across from a woman who looked kind but serious. She handed over the DNA test results without saying much. The lawyer read them carefully and nodded. The lawyer asked her a few questions, then explained what she could do. Because she was the mother, and she now had proof that her husband wasn't the real father, she could file a legal request to remove his name from the birth certificate. It was called a motion to disestablish paternity. It wasn't quick, but it was legal and clear. The law supported her if she had the right documents. And she did. She listened closely, writing down the steps she needed to take. The lawyer said they could file the paperwork without informing the husband right away. He wouldn't know until it was time. That gave her some relief. She didn't want to fight in the middle of the house. She just wanted peace for herself and her baby. Over the next few days, she brought in everything the lawyer asked for: copies of the birth certificate, the test results, and her written statement. Together, they filled out each form carefully. She made sure her husband didn't see anything. She kept the papers in a folder she carried with her, hidden in her bag. She acted normal at home. She smiled when she needed to. She stayed quiet when she didn't want to speak. Her husband didn't notice. He kept living like nothing had changed. He still stayed out late. He still said he was tired or busy. She didn't ask questions. She already knew the answers. Sometimes, when he left his phone unattended, she checked his messages. He was still talking to the other woman. His words hadn't changed. He told her things like, "She doesn't suspect anything, and our little girl will grow up with your name." Reading those messages made her heart feel heavy, but not surprised. He had made his choice, and now she had made hers. She was done asking why. She was done hoping he would stop. She had the truth, the law, and a plan. The lawyer told her once everything was processed, the court would call for a hearing. Her husband would find out then. Until that day came, she just had to wait and stay calm. She focused on her baby. She held her close, sang to her softly, and whispered her real name, the one she had chosen long before all the lies. Each day felt a little stronger. She was not stuck anymore. She was not lost. She was moving forward, step by step. The process had started, and no matter how long it took, she was ready. The name on the papers would soon be corrected. The truth would be clear. And the man who lied would finally see he had no place in the story he tried to control. She planned everything carefully. The date, the time, and even the food. She told everyone it was a small family dinner to share something special about the baby. Both her parents and her husband's parents agreed to come. No one asked too many questions. They thought it was about the baby's first milestone, or maybe a baptism. She kept her voice cheerful. She smiled through the calls. No one suspected anything. When the evening came, the table was full. Her mother brought a dish, his mother brought dessert. Everyone chatted, holding the baby, laughing like any normal family. Her husband looked relaxed. He thought everything was fine. He didn't notice how quiet she was. He didn't notice the envelope she had placed under the table. Dinner went smoothly. The baby sat in her high chair, waving her hands and smiling at the attention. Everyone praised how big she was getting. Her mother said she had her eyes. His mother said she had his smile. She listened and nodded, waiting. After the plates were cleared, she stood up. Everyone turned to look at her. Her husband leaned back, resting his hand on the baby's chair. She spoke slowly. She said she had something important to share. She said it wasn't about a baptism or birthday. It was about the truth. She reached under the table and took out the envelope. She looked at her husband first, then at the others. Her voice didn't shake. She said the baby wasn't his. She said the DNA test had proven it. She said she had believed him at first, but now she had proof. She placed the envelope on the table and pushed it toward him. He stared at it without touching it. His face changed. His smile faded. Her parents sat in silence. Her mother covered her mouth with her hand. Her father looked down at the table. His parents were frozen, eyes wide, not saying a word. She kept going. She said she didn't want lies in her child's life. She said she was tired of pretending. She looked at her husband again and said, "You named her after your mistress. You thought that was your right. But she doesn't carry your blood. And she will not carry your name." The silence was thick. No one moved. Her husband finally spoke. He said it wasn't possible. He said it was a mistake. But she had the papers. She had the truth. And she had no more patience for lies. His mother reached for the envelope and read the top line. Her face went pale. Her father leaned back in his chair, eyes closed. No one argued. No one defended him. The baby looked around, still smiling, too young to understand the storm around her. She walked over and lifted her gently from the chair. She held her close, kissed her soft hair, and walked out of the room. Behind her, voices started to rise, confused, hurt, and angry. But she didn't stop. She didn't look back. She had carried the truth in silence long enough. Now it was out. Now it was real. She was ready for what came next. After the dinner, everything changed. Her husband tried to act like nothing was true. He followed her around the house, asking her to talk. He cried. He begged. He said it was all a lie. He told her she was wrong and the test must be fake. He denied everything. He said he never had an affair. He said he loved her and their baby. She stayed calm. She didn't argue. She walked to the drawer and took out a folder. Inside were printed text messages, screenshots, and photos. She had everything saved. Messages between him and his mistress. Pictures of them together. Words he had written like, "Our little Ariel." She placed them in front of him, one by one. She said nothing. He picked them up with shaking hands, reading the proof. His face turned red, then pale. He tried to speak again, but this time she cut him off. She told him to pack his things and leave. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just stood firm. He begged one more time, saying he was sorry, saying they could fix it. But she had already given him too many chances. She walked to the door and opened it. He left that night. She changed the locks the next morning. After he was gone, the house felt quiet, but safe. She sat down with her baby and held her close. She whispered the name Eliana, the name she had chosen long ago, the name that meant something to her. She looked into her daughter's eyes and promised she would make everything right. She met with her lawyer again and started the paperwork for full custody. She explained everything, and the lawyer guided her through it. She also began the legal steps to change her daughter's name back to Eliana. It would take time, but she had already made it this far. In the middle of all this, she got a message from her ex, the biological father. He had seen the results too. He said he wanted to talk. He didn't push or demand anything. He just said he wanted to be part of the child's life, if she allowed it. She didn't answer right away. She didn't know what to say. She thought about the past, about how things had ended between them. She wasn't sure what kind of father he would be, but he had always been kind. He had always been honest. She knew he didn't lie or hide. That mattered now more than ever. She decided to meet him, not for herself, but for Eliana. She wanted to know if he truly wanted to be part of his daughter's life. She didn't promise anything, but she kept the door open. Days passed. She focused on her daughter. She read to her, played with her, and took long walks. The house felt lighter. No more secrets. No more pretending. She had done something hard, but she didn't regret it. She had protected her child, and that was all that mattered. She began to share her truth with people she trusted. At first, it was hard. She didn't want pity, but she needed support. She told her close friends and family about everything that had happened. They were shocked, but they stood by her. They said she was strong. They said she did the right thing. Hearing that helped her feel less alone. She stayed in touch with her lawyer and kept moving forward. The name change process was slow, but it was happening. She checked the mail often, waiting for the final papers. The court had approved the changes. Her daughter's real name and father would soon be official on paper, just like it was in her heart. She also decided to start therapy. She needed a place to speak freely. Talking helped. She talked about the lies, the confusion, the pain. The therapist listened with care and helped her understand how deeply the betrayal had hurt her. Being lied to for so long had made her doubt herself. Now, she was learning to trust her own voice again. Her ex-husband didn't take the truth well. He started posting things online. He told people she had lied. He said she was the one who broke the family. But the truth was already known. The messages, the photos, the test results, they were real. No one believed his stories. Some of his friends even stopped talking to him. The woman he had cheated with went silent. No more messages. No more photos. She disappeared from his life. He had lost both of them. And now he had to live with what he had done. Meanwhile, she focused on her baby. She smiled more. She slept better. She made a small list of goals for the future. Nothing big, just little steps, a new routine, a visit to the park, maybe signing up for a class. She wanted a calm life, a clean one, a life without secrets. Then one day, a letter arrived in the mail. It was the new birth certificate. She held the envelope for a moment before opening it. Her hands felt warm. She opened it slowly and read the new name, Eliana Rose, her daughter's real name, the name she had chosen, the name that felt right. She also saw the father's name. It no longer showed her ex-husband. That space now held the name of the man who was truly her child's father. She stood in the kitchen, holding the paper, tears running down her cheeks. But this time, the tears were not from sadness. They were from peace. It was done. The lies were erased. The truth was written in black and white. She placed the certificate in a safe place. Then she picked up Eliana, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "We're okay now." The pain hadn't fully gone, but she was healing. Day by day, moment by moment, she was building something new, something real. And that was enough. She placed the birth certificate in an envelope. The new name was there, Eliana Rose. It was the name she had chosen from the beginning, the name that meant something to her. The father's name was corrected too. Her ex-husband's name was no longer there. Now it showed the real father, the one who had a right to be listed. She added a small sticky note before closing the envelope. On it, she wrote only one sentence. "Next time you name a child after your mistress, make sure she's actually yours." She sealed the envelope, calm and steady. She didn't feel shaky or unsure. There was no doubt in her heart anymore. She walked to the mailbox and dropped it in. She didn't look back. That simple act felt like the end of something. Not just the end of her marriage, but the end of all the pain he caused her. He had lied, cheated, and made her question herself. He had betrayed her during one of the most important times in her life. But now she was done. She had nothing left to explain. The truth was in his hands. She knew he would open the envelope and feel the shock. He would see that he had no legal tie to the child. No name. No blood. No rights. The truth would hit him hard, and she hoped it would stay with him for a long time. She didn't wait for a reply. She didn't expect one. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. She had taken back what was stolen from her. Her voice, her choices, her daughter's name. In the days that followed, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, peace. The anger was still there, but it didn't control her. The sadness was still there, but it didn't break her. She was stronger now. She had faced the worst and stood tall. She focused on her daughter, on their quiet life, and on her own healing. The lies were behind her. The truth was finally in place. She didn't need to shout or fight anymore. The paper said it all. Her child had her true name. Her child had the truth. And she had her freedom. She walked forward with her head high, holding her daughter close. She was free. She was fierce. And she was finally in control. If her story moved you, share it with someone walking through quiet pain. Tag a friend who keeps going without applause. Drop a fire emoji if you believe in rising through the storm. Save this for the days you feel unseen. Your strength is real. Your time is coming. Keep going.